Oh, these women with these divorce diaries. I've got something for you. And I'm seeing a growing trend with this whole theme on social media. These women talking about divorce diaries and what they're going through, and their husband just randomly left them or randomly cheated on them. And they just can't figure out why. But it takes me 2 seconds there, Brittany, to scroll down through your page, and I can paint the picture for you. Misplaced priorities, disrespect, letting yourself go physically, spiritually, emotionally. Statistically, it is usually the woman that leaves. So if a man is telling you he is not in love with you anymore, chances are that was the final straw, not the first. Men are simple. They want love, respect, peace, physical intimacy. And crocodile tears do not equate accountability. I'm going to tell you what there, sister. I've been divorced for 8 years, and I had to take a hard look in the mirror and reflect on why my part contributed to our divorce. It wasn't the only thing, but I had to take accountability and fix that. And marriage is not autopilot. I feel like some of you women get the ring, and then you're like, oh, my work is done. And if a man is not getting intimacy or respect from you, he's going to go find it elsewhere. Doesn't make it right, but to pretend like it just came out of nowhere is pretty delusional. And I'm sorry, but maybe you should stop telling the world as to why he left and start asking yourself, why did you give him a reason to leave?
Studies show women are happier after divorce than men. Why is this? Women are more likely to self-reflect. They're more willing to go inward and hold themselves accountable for the things that they need to change in order to get different results. They're more likely to go to therapy. They're more likely to hire a coach, get the support, get the guidance, get the tools. They will invest in their well-being. They will join support groups. They will do what it takes to feel better, to not make the same mistakes. They take responsibility for their own happiness. They'll step outside of their comfort zones, create new relationships, find hobbies and creative outlets, find fulfillment, learn how to fill their own cup and meet their own needs and not rely on a partner. Women are also more inclined to practice self-care, like healthy eating and mindfulness practices and getting exercise, which then improves their overall well-being. Women are also less likely to turn to destructive behavior and unhealthy coping mechanisms, and they're great at reframing the situation and focusing on the future. They embrace the independence and the freedom. And all of those things are what adds up to creating a healthy, happy, fulfilling, amazing future after divorce.
She's right. If you walk away with the house, the car, half the money, the kids, child support, and alimony, of course you'd be pretty happy. She's literally got half of your new life paid for. And it gets even better when, after destroying her husband, she already has a potential replacement lined up. How could she not be happy? She'll have time for everything. After all, the money you enjoy the most is the kind you didn't have to work for.
Talking about how women fare off in divorce when women fare off far worse financially after divorce than men and are less likely to repartner. Yes.
Women fare worse?
Yeah, men fare off worse psychologically, but women are more likely, their standard of living goes down. They're more likely to be in poverty, seek government assistance. Please look this up. Men are more likely to suffer alcohol, drug abuse, unalive themselves, get sick, all of those things. So psychologically, men fare off worse after divorce, but financially, women fare off worse.
Well, that's just wrong on its face.
Why is it wrong on its face?
It's just wrong on its face. Because when it comes to faring worse, men overwhelmingly pay child support and alimony.
Yes, but the woman's standard of living still goes down after divorce, and the man's is less likely to. That's why I'm saying look it up.
Yeah, but that's not clear to me if that's them faring worse financially.
They're more likely for their standard of living to decrease after divorce. They're more likely to seek government assistance, more likely to be in poverty. Like child support, you mentioned it. I think only like 20-something%. Like it's not like everyone who's ordered to pay child support does. In fact, the majority don't.
Well, speaking of child support, I mean, it's one of the ways in which we still have debtors' prisons, which doesn't exist for other kinds of debts.
What do you mean?
Well, almost men exclusively. If you don't pay child support, you're likely to be thrown in jail.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Women have it worse, yet men are more likely to struggle with alcohol abuse, drugs, suicide, or serious illness. But sure, she has it worse. The man might die, but she's worse off because she has less money. Give me a break. Most men end up renting, if they're even able to get back on their feet, because if divorce hits in their 50s or 60s, they could end up on the street, too old to work, and with almost no chance to rebuild. But no, they say women have it worse. Sometimes you really have to sit there and listen to nonsense.
Women.
Here's why women regret divorce more than men. Financially speaking, women's lives get worse after the divorce, while men's get better. The standard of living for women goes down an average of 27%, while the standard of living for men goes up 10%. So you can see why women may feel that their lives get worse after divorce because their standards of living go down while their ex-husband's standard of living goes up.
If you're enjoying the content so far, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment. It helps us a ton. Let's keep going.
Who earns more after divorce, men or women? Research from the London School of Economics showed that women's household income went down 20% after divorce, while men's household income went up by 30%. This leaves many women unable to afford to put a roof over their head. This is not acceptable. So what can you do? Fight for everything that you're entitled to in your divorce. Don't walk away from retirement accounts or home equity. It's your money too.
Look, each divorce is unique, and while outcomes have improved, women do tend to lose out overall more financially than men, with a quarter of divorced women falling into poverty within 1 year after the divorce. What are some of the reasons for this? Well, typically around 75% of women that are in receipt or should be getting some sort of child maintenance or child support don't receive all of it. If we have children involved and the decision is that they're going to remain living with mum, then this is going to impact upon the woman's ability to work, reducing her hours. She's got to allow for childcare. A lot of times, if the woman stays in the former matrimonial home with the children, just to afford the children a little bit of consistency following the divorce, it can prove too expensive. A lot of times women don't have the money to pay for their legal fees. So what they do is they kind of build up a legal debt, which they will pay from their divorce settlement. And of course, if there are children involved, which means that mum may not be able to work full time, this is going to have an impact on the mortgage raising capacity. So admittedly, in the short term, men are definitely impacted. They are usually paying for a second place to live. They are having to pay for the child maintenance, maybe even pay for the mortgage where the wife and the children are still living, and they've also got any legal costs that they incur. But in the long term, studies would suggest that women definitely lose out financially following the divorce, simply because men have the ability to go out and earn more.
This theory always starts with the idea that after leaving the marriage, the man suddenly becomes some kind of businessman pulling in a huge salary. When in reality, the woman walks away with the fruits of all your hard work, and you have to start from scratch, often with debts to pay. And on top of that, you're hit with child support and, in the worst cases, alimony. That leaves you with about 65% of your income to live on, making it extremely hard to ever reach the standard of living you had before the divorce, let alone improve it. And that's not even counting the psychological impact of divorce, especially when she's the one who files, which happens around 80% of the time.
Did you know that after divorce, women's economic situations tend to worsen, whereas men's economic situations tend to improve? So when I was in college, I read this essay by Susan Okin from her book, Justice, Gender, in the Family. And it had this concept called the power of exit that totally changed the way that I view gender dynamics in families. We have to talk about it. So Okin describes this sort of cycle of wage depression in a heterosexual marriage where typically the woman will enter the relationship with a lower paying job for whatever reason. Her and her husband will make the decision to prioritize the husband's career because it's economically rational. They'll do that. The woman will take on more work at home, and then further over time, it depresses her wage earning potential and her ability to make money, whereas her husband is gaining more experience at work and he's getting promoted and his income and earning potential is increasing over time. And as her wage gets further and further depressed, it just makes more sense to keep prioritizing the husband's career. So what does this mean in the event of a divorce? The statistics that Okin references from this book, The Divorce Revolution, show that women's economic position deteriorates significantly after divorce, mostly because they don't have this wage earning potential that's been developed over the last 10, 20 years.
That theory sounds good on paper, but it doesn't line up with reality. Nowadays, most women work, and even then, they can't maintain the standard of living they get when they marry a productive man. It's not that marriage holds them back. It's that many simply don't earn enough on their own. If divorce leaves them worse off, it's not the man's fault. It's because without him, they're faced with the economic reality that was always there. They were living paycheck to paycheck. Let's keep going.
They get out of a marriage, they're often burdened with childcare and they're not made proper alimony or childcare support payments. And then marital assets are not divided with the context that the woman is going to continue to earn less because her domestic labor has depressed her wage earning potential over time. So assets aren't divided in a way that gives context to the domestic labor that she's been doing for the last 10 or 20 years. And now she's in a very vulnerable position where she maybe hasn't had work experience for the last 10 years. She's taking care of the children and her husband is now child free and has his earning potential. It's been increasing over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And he's able to just keep going out and making lots of money and potentially not sharing that in an equitable way with the person who enabled his earning potential to increase over those years by doing free labor at home. So then Okin introduces this incredible concept, which is called the power of exit, which basically says that your power in any negotiation is directly related to your ability to walk away from the deal. So if I'm in a negotiation and someone is giving me a really shitty deal, if I can walk away from that deal, I have a lot more power. But if I know that if I walk away from the deal, I'm going to be worse off, and if they walk away from the deal, they're going to be better off, it actually depresses my power in any important negotiation because I don't have the same power of exit.
These spinsters are always looking for theories to justify why nobody wants them. First of all, if you don't want marriage, you can be in a common law relationship. Second, studies show that relationships today don't last more than 7 years. And plenty of women keep their jobs even after getting married. It's pretty rare to see women with 10 or 20 years of marriage nowadays. And when those divorces happen, men get destroyed, not just losing half of everything, but also ending up paying alimony. On top of that, she gets half of his 401k. With that alone, she's basically set for retirement. So what are you even talking about, lady?
I love when men use this stat as some sort of gotcha, when really all it's saying is that women would rather live in almost poverty levels with less access, with less opportunities than their male counterparts, than stay another single minute in a marriage that doesn't serve them, with a man who doesn't do anything for them but suck the life out of them and exploit their labor. That's what that says. This isn't a gotcha. This isn't an insult. That's what that means, because in every single regard, women fare worse after divorce. They make less money. They have less access to housing. They have less access to job opportunities. They end up taking on more childcare. And they're still filing. They're still willing to live that life, take those risks, have less access to things than they did when they were married, then spend another second in a marriage that does nothing for them, with a man who doesn't appreciate them, who doesn't acknowledge them, who doesn't support them. That's what that's saying. That's what that 71% of divorce initiated by women stat is saying. Women know the risks after divorce, and they're still doing it because this marriage is no longer serving them, and this man is providing nothing to their life except sucking the life out of them and exploiting their labor.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
First of all, what does exploiting her work even mean? Taking care of the house you live in without paying rent, with free food and all basic utilities covered. That's the bare minimum that's expected. You don't even buy the appliances you use, and these days, they mostly just require pushing a button. Most women file for divorce because they're constantly seeing others say it's worth it, until they run into reality. Divorce doesn't give them the money they think they deserve. They end up more miserable, and they find out they now have to support themselves. Because there's no longer a man out there killing himself so they can have everything they need. But don't worry, The wall always shows those divorced women the truth. The wall doesn't forgive.
Women.
Okay, I'm kind of glad that I went through my broke guy phase or dating for love phase when I was young, like in high school and in college. Because I can't imagine doing what I do now and still dating broke guys or dating guys that make the same amount of money as me. Imagine me being 25 and still going on dates to Chili's and splitting bills and letting my boyfriend borrow money. Like, what the fuck? That is like insane. I used to do that back in high school and in college, guys. Like, that is some bum ass behavior. And if you're a man, you get mad at me. Like, just skip through this. Don't get emotional in the comments. Comment. Like, shut up. Like, control your emotions. Take a testosterone shot. Go to CVS and ask for a testosterone shot because you need it. Don't cry about it in the comments. Just like some guys have preferences on like dating blondes, brunettes, skinny girls, thick girls. My preference is dating guys with money. So thank you. I literally had a boyfriend who was diabetic and he was so fucking broke. This was back in college, guys. So back when I had my college apartment, when he would stay over, he had to get like a bunch of sugary snacks because he was freaking weird in his body. So I went to the grocery store and I bought him sugary snacks and his favorite shit just so whenever he stays over at my house. What the fuck? I can't even imagine doing that shit right now. I am so glad my frontal lobe developed and just prioritize money now. Like, thank you, brain. Because there's so many girls my age that still are not like that they don't prioritize money instead of looks or love in relationships. And they're literally have in a whole relationship working full time and splitting bills. Like, that is fucking insane, bro. And still getting cheated on.
I don't know what kind of losers you're dating, but it's clearly not a man who knows what he wants in life. First off, a real man, if he wants to get to know you, would invite you out for coffee at a decent place where he can actually have a conversation. Second, he's going to evaluate whether it's even worth investing his time in a second date. The problem is, when you get used to dating chads, guys who bring nothing to the table, you start believing all men are the same, when in reality, plenty of us have standards and, more importantly, respect our time. So if your frontal lobe has finally developed, start by learning how to tell the difference between a man of value and a loser. Then again, nowadays the gold digger doesn't even bother pretending. She shows her true colors without shame, as we'll see in the next video.
And why did you choose him?
Because he's hot and he has money.
Does money make a difference when you pick a guy?
Yes.
Why?
Because you get stability. You cannot be with someone that doesn't know what to do, doesn't find the business to provide the family food, the necessities. You cannot be with someone who doesn't know what does he want. He knows what he wants.
That's why you chose him?
Yes.
How much does someone have to make to hit your criteria?
It's not only about quantities, just to have someone he cares for you and he gave you everything that you need at home.
When you guys have an argument and you remember, he makes a lot of money, does that make it easier for you to stay with him?
Probably, yes.
I love it. So you're saying that money sometimes makes it a lot easier in a relationship?
Yeah, money, it always makes things easier. I know it's not all about the money, but it absolutely makes all difference.
At least let's admit it. The guy knows what he's doing, and so does she. They both understand the deal. And yeah, money makes life easier, period. That's why I always tell men, focus on your path. Build your finances, your body, your mind, and your environment. Money doesn't just open doors. It keeps them open when things get tough. A man who has control over his life and his finances doesn't depend on anyone, and he doesn't beg for attention. Now, when it comes to women, enjoy your money, have a good time, date who you like, but don't make the mistake of marrying someone who only values you for what you can provide. Because the day you can't provide will be the same day she starts looking for someone else. It's that simple. Be smart with your money. Use it, enjoy it, but don't put it in the wrong hands. Because a lot of them will see you as a simp or a beta provider, like the woman asking for this in the next video.
Any man that's not a simp is gay in my book. If you're not a simp, you like men. Point blank, period. Because why the fuck would you want to display with your full chest how much you don't like a woman? Because any man that says that a man is a simp, it's always because the man is displaying ways in which he likes a woman. So, essentially, men want approval from other men based off of how poorly they could treat a woman. And I'm supposed to still think that y'all are heterosexual. I'm still supposed to think that y'all are attracted to women and y'all like women when y'all take pride in admitting the fact that you actually hate women and you actually want to do all the things possible to show that you hate women in order to impress other men. I'm sorry, if he ain't a simp, he gay. It's really that simple. If he is not giving you love and devotion and putting you first, he's gay. He doesn't like women. It's really that simple.
They're already crying for the simps to come back. Those guys who think worshiping a woman somehow makes them more of a man. But no, brother, you can like a woman without becoming a doormat who begs for attention. These days, there are 3 types of men. The simp, who lives to validate any woman. The one who gave up and wants nothing to do with them. And the one you should be, a traditional man. A gentleman, disciplined, self-respecting, driven toward excellence, and someone who chooses women who are truly worth his time. The thing is, simps are waking up and realizing that putting a woman first, above their goals and purpose, only leaves them drained, broken, or broke. Meanwhile, the men who prioritize themselves, who work on becoming better, attract women who respect them and admire their leadership. So no, nobody wants to be a simp. Being a simp today is the fastest way to lose your value, your respect, and your peace.
Women.
My advice to young women and women in general is to be very wary of men who start giving excuses for hypothetical men they don't know when you're talking about real issues of misogyny, sexism, violence against women, any kind of like patriarchal institutions. When you're talking about them, if the man that you're speaking to, his first reaction is to explain any reason other than like patriarchy as to why those things are happening, I would check on that man. I would reevaluate how I think about that man, because what that typically means is that they either know someone or they themselves do the things you are talking about, and they have already excused it in their mind and don't see anything wrong with it. Let me give you an example. Like, if you tell a guy that you're dating about sexual harassment you're experiencing at work, and his first reaction is to explain why you didn't understand the joke, or how that's probably not how the guy intended it, or how you're taking things too seriously, or you're too sensitive, that man does not care about you. He cares about upholding patriarchy because he's probably doing the same things as his job.
Do you know one of the biggest signs that you are dealing with a dangerous, indifferent man? And what is a dangerous, indifferent man? A man who may not be overtly abusive, who may not be overtly violent, but who stays silent about male violence more broadly, and they really believe inherently they have no obligation to change the nature of men's violence. Is that when there is the opportunity to defend a man, they will take it. When a man's conduct is indefensible, you will hear nothing. Every horror story that you hear about men's violence, sexual violence towards women, sexual violence towards children, that is pretty much indisputable or so horrific that it bears commenting on, they will not comment on it. If you go and look in the comment section of any story about a man's violence, where they believe that there is even a suggestion, a breath of doubt to the story, they will all be in there, and they will be amplifying what they see as reasonable doubt. If it is absolutely threadbare in terms of what is doubtful about the victim's testimony, or trial coming to an end and someone's criminal conduct being confirmed, you'll hear nothing. Not in support of the victim, not in condemning the man who has been maybe found guilty. You'll hear nothing. Major red flag. Anytime you see news stories, go and have a look in the comments. Where it is indisputable, these men who are not abusive, who are not violent, who would never hurt a fly, have nothing to say. But when they get the chance to jump in and defend a man, where there is even a skerrick of doubt, they'll be there.
These women are constantly looking for any excuse to attack men, like it's some kind of sport. The irony is that the first one defends women she doesn't even know, assuming they never do anything wrong. According to her logic, women don't harass, don't manipulate, and never make men uncomfortable in female-dominated work environments. And when a man suffers abuse or injustice, they twist the whole story to make him look like the aggressor. It's the same old trick. I'm always the victim. Just like the second woman, who talks about male violence. But what she doesn't say is that both men and women are in relationships, and that naturally leads to conflict. Now, the rate of abuse and violence against women has dropped significantly, but she also ignores the fact that women harm men too. Because if they were little angels, women's prisons wouldn't exist. But of course, she won't mention that, because in her world, the man always has to be the villain.
Once you see men for what they really are, it becomes so incredibly boring to hear people defend their bad behavior as if the world depends on it. I will never be able to comprehend anymore at this point in my life why we are putting men on a pedestal, why we are not holding them accountable, why we are allowing them to disrespect us, to be liars, to take away our rights, to literally allure women to go on dates with them by lying about their political affiliation. We literally need to start spitting in their face or something. And at the end of the day, it's all boiled down to, oh, you're just not silly enough. You don't know how to have fun. Oh, you just take life so seriously. And it's what part of this is supposed to be fun? I'm not having fun. I don't even date men anymore, and existing in society with them is not fun. They are not good at society, at doing things that can help other people. I've talked about this before, but the consequences for their actions are not strong enough. They are enabled almost every facet of life. This is why I encourage women constantly to look beyond romance to fulfill your life, because men are not going to give it to you, especially if you're someone who is attracted to them romantically and sexually.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Just hearing you say you don't date men explains everything. Because a woman who doesn't date men, who doesn't engage with them at all, clearly hates them. You look like you're into women, which is probably why you hate anyone who might be your competition. But the most ridiculous part is hearing you say that men don't contribute to society. Let me tell you, society exists because men keep it running. Who builds the cities you live in? Who keeps the global economy going? Who works to produce your food? Who protects you from foreign threats and provides you with a safe environment? Who invented the technology you use to talk nonsense? Who built the car you drive, the roads you use, the house you live in? Your life and this society depend on the hard work of millions of men who make it possible for you to have the space to thrive. But of course, maybe you'd prefer to live in a Muslim society where you're fully covered and stuck in the kitchen.
This is just a reminder you don't need a boyfriend. I made a little post basically saying if you wanted to, he would. If your boyfriend isn't making an effort for Valentine's Day, it's come on. And I just want to make it extra clear. I am not saying you need a man. I am saying that if your relationship is mediocre, it is not worth it. That is my point. You do not need a man. So if it is not amazing, you don't need that. I know so many people that are way happier single than they ever were in relationships. I know today everyone's posting their significant others. Oh my God, these birds. And it might make you feel a certain way, and you might feel like you're lonely or you're missing out. And I just want to make it so clear that you're single by choice. You're single because you haven't found someone that has met your needs. Single because you have not settled. It is not some horrible thing that has been done to you. It is a choice that you've made because you respect and love yourself enough to know what you deserve. That's fucking cool. So happy fucking Valentine's Day. This is a day of love. Love comes in so many different forms. So don't get it twisted, girl.
Stop it. Get some help.
I honestly think the bar in dating is just so fucking low. It's insane. I mean, we're celebrating men who walk us home, who don't split the bill, who actually ask us questions about ourselves, who text back in a day and age where we pretty much live on our phones and spend hours and hours scrolling through stupid shit. We celebrate men who don't push us into physical intimacy, who are willing to wait. We praise them for opening the door, getting you flowers on your birthday once a year. We praise them for picking us up on a date, for being able to plan a date in order for them to seduce you and pursue you. I mean, seriously. And then we go and complain that people are fucking lazy. I mean, please, let's make it even easier on them. Let's just celebrate the fact that they can actually breathe.
What happened, miss? Being single has made you bitter. When a woman goes a while without getting any attention from a man, the first thing she does is try to ruin other people's relationships. She starts with the classic lines, "You don't need a man," or "Leave him if he doesn't do this for you," or "That's the bare minimum." But at least that woman has someone doing something for her. while you're lonelier than the sun at noon, already past 30, hitting the wall, and you don't even have a dog to bark at you. Then you wonder why the wall doesn't forgive.
When I left my husband, I was only making like $16 an hour. And so that was not enough. And so I got myself into a lot of credit card debt because I moved into an apartment that I couldn't really afford, but I thought that someone else was going to be living with me in it. So that's
What do you mean? The ex?
No. Okay, so right after I got divorced, I got into a situation with somebody I knew from work. And
how quickly after the divorce?
Well, like immediately. It was like a rebound, right? I guess is what they would call it.
Okay.
And we
Like
worked
the
together.
day after?
Maybe. Like, sort of. Yes.
Okay.
So I knew him, right? We worked together. That's how we met.
Wait,
And
how long are you married?
almost 5 years.
Did you guys ever have any kids?
Yes.
And you got with this person a day after?
Yes, but see what I thought he was like the love of my life.
A day after a divorce. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. And you thought he'd be living with you?
Yes. Like I
Oh, hell no!
I guess she won't be wondering anymore why that man divorced her. The truth is, that woman's just no good. Imagine this. 5 years married, a kid, and the day after the breakup, she's already with another man. That guy was clearly in the picture before the divorce. She already had her replacement lined up, and she obviously didn't care about her kid. Mother of the Year. The perfect example of a strong and independent woman. The good thing is, the real winner here was her first husband, because clearly, whoever ends up with her loses.
Women.
Men move mountains for women they want to be with. They'll move mountains for a woman that they want to see, for a woman that they want to prioritize. That is just the reality. So if he's really not making much of an effort for you, trust that he doesn't really like you.
If you're enjoying the content so far, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. That really helps us out a lot. Let's keep going.
Leave women alone.
But men are already doing that. Or hasn't one noticed? But I find it odd that some women want men to leave women alone, except when they need their support in something. And then they complain, why aren't the men speaking up?
Stop telling us what to do with our hair.
Frankly, I cannot remember the last time a man told me what to do with my hair. In my experience, it's almost always some of the women who are so concerned with what other women look like.
Stop telling us what to do with our bodies.
Like what? Don't rack up a high body count because a great many men and women find a high body count rather unappealing. How dare some men tell women to pay attention to their own morality?
Stop telling us how to dress.
Really? From what I've seen, some women should be told that what they're wearing is often inappropriate.
Leave us alone.
And when they finally do, what then will one have to complain about?
Well, surprisingly, they always find something to complain about. Men are leaving them alone, giving them peace. And yet the complaint is still about the patriarchy, about this so-called male-built society, about men putting in the bare minimum, not wanting to pay for dates, not wanting to get married. There's always something to whine about, but they never look in the mirror and admit that the problem is them. Men are tired of their arrogance and have chosen to go their own way and let them hit the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
I hate when a man says he's doing the best that he can, when he's putting in zero effort in life. His best is choosing the path of least resistance, the path that's most convenient in every circumstance, the one that never challenges him to be a semi-decent human. And then he tells you that you're being so hard on him and your expectations are way too high, but you're not expecting a thing from him that you're not already providing or doing for yourself. He can't match your energy, your skill set, or your drive. And he's looking for you to go easy on him because he's just trying his best. He's trying to make you feel bad so that you have sympathy for him. But what he's really saying is that he's lazy and unmotivated and he wants you to lower the bar. But if you've ever raised kids, you know that lowering the bar is the worst thing you can do because you just give him permission to continue being lazy and to act like a spoiled child. So the best thing you can do when a man-child whines and pouts and says, you You're being so hard on me. Your standards are just so high. I'm doing the best that I can. Is to just tell him the truth. This best isn't good enough. Doing better for yourself without him. And then walk away.
Men already have life on easy mode, so that's why they get especially triggered when women are very successful. And I'm talking about like unhealthy, toxic masculinity. Men that hate women, degrade women, red pill, incel type men. Society's already built to function around men. The job market is literally made to benefit them. But yet some of them still struggle, and that's why they take that anger out on women. Because we sit here and say we want someone that'll add value to our lives. We want someone that'll actually provide for us. We don't necessarily want to be independent in everything. And it's exactly why so many of them get so triggered, because all they need to provide is just one thing: safety. And some of them can't even do that in a world that's made to benefit them. So instead of fixing it, they'd rather misplace their rage on a woman.
There are women who can't be happy with any man because the problem isn't the man, it's in their mind. They're programmed to see masculinity as a threat, not as a compliment. You can give them stability, respect, and support, and they'll still point the finger at you just for existing. The saddest part is, they're the majority, women bitter over their own bad choices, but unable to admit they chose wrong. In their world, the man is always to blame, and responsibility is a burden they never touch. Responsibility is kryptonite to women.
Things I would never do after learning the neuroscience behind self-love. Number one, I will never talk poorly about myself, neither out loud or in my head, even if it's just for a second. How you speak to yourself forms your identity, and your identity creates your external reality, and the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not, so it doesn't know that you don't mean what you say. Number two, I will never allow someone into my life who doesn't treat me the way that I deserve or desire simply because I like the person. When you accept this type of behavior from the people around you, you are accepting that how they treat you is truth to your self-worth. Even if right now you are someone that knows your worth and you think that because you know your worth, this won't happen, if you accept that behavior from others over time, this will start to shift your neural pathways from being someone who has high self-worth to someone who has low self-worth. Because you're exposing yourself to consistent behavior that speaks to low self-worth. Number three, I will never look for validation in the opinions of others, even those closest to me. At the end of the day, you only have yourself. People you love, whether it's friendships, relationships, family members, can come and go at any point in time, but the only person that you will forever be in the presence of is yourself. What do I want out of life? What do I want to wear? Where do I want to live? What career do I want to partake in? What dish do I want to order for dinner? Because when all is said and done, the only peace and freedom that I feel from within is the peace and freedom that I created for myself by living my life the way I desired. And number four, I will never place my value on the way that my body looks. Whether you want to believe it or not, beauty is energy, it is not physicality. When someone shows up in the emotional state of confidence and security, which are subconscious beliefs, they radiate more beauty and more attraction than the picture-perfect model sitting next to them who is miserable, insecure, and full of themselves.
The "I deserve everything" speech is the modern woman's favorite poison. They think having self-esteem means demanding like queens without offering anything in return. They confuse ego with self-love and narcissism with empowerment. They want respect, money, and devotion just for existing. But in practice, they're the ones who drain you the most, who demand the most, and contribute the least. If you don't fulfill their fantasies, they accuse you of holding them back, when in reality, they're the anchor dragging down any man who wants to move forward. That's why you've got to be careful. Behind the "I love myself" line, there's often a narcissist who's incapable of loving anyone else. And a man who respects himself sees it in time and walks away.
Men really ask for your number and then proceed to be the most boring fucking texter known to mankind. That's why I didn't text you back, sir, because I'm literally falling asleep texting you.
There is nothing that irritates me more than a man who loves to text. All it does is create a false sense of intimacy and connection. And it's so low effort for them to send you a text. I will intentionally ignore a man so that he has to pick up the phone and call me. Because those little dopamine hits that you're constantly getting are what gets you attached to that person much quicker than you should be. And it makes you feel like you know that person when in reality you don't. And men know that giving you those dopamine hits with the good morning text and the good night text and how was your day is a surefire way to get you attached. So the moment that he stops doing those things, then you start to think the worst. Then you start to question everything. And he actually may genuinely have been busy that day, but because of the way that things are in society and the dating scene right now, who the hell is gonna actually believe that? And you know what? Usually it's a lie because he's able to text you every other day. There was this guy who was trying to take me out. I told him I don't text and I don't do unscheduled calls. I never heard from him again. This person who's actually serious about you is gonna respect that. No, thank you.
Women say men are boring, but the lives of many, if not most, are incredibly boring. A lot of them don't even have friends, and when you talk to them, they either won't stop talking or they don't know how to have an interesting conversation. The woman who says she sees little effort in the messages. It's ironic she complains that the messages show no effort, says the man should call her, and then turns around and says she doesn't reply to texts or take calls unless they're scheduled. What kind of nonsense is that? It just makes no sense. You complain about getting messages, then demand calls, and after that, you want everything done exactly your way. Brother, don't waste your time with someone like that. Let her keep living her boring life, complaining on social media.
Like, I just think that most men, the majority of men, are just so fucking boring. And they don't have any emotional depth. Like, nothing is going on, like, below that surface. They are so mundanely average and just boring. Yeah, just so boring. Like, speaking to most of them is just like speaking to a brick wall. You know, there's no emotional depth going on there. And I think that's why women struggle in so many relationships with men, because women have so much depth and so much to feel and think and give. And I think that's why most women do struggle in relationships with men, full stop, because they find it hard to connect with most men because most men just don't have any depth at all, you know? And that's why most women will get more out of female friendships, relationships with other women, than they ever will do in friendships with men and romantic partnerships with men.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Then stick with your girlfriends. Oh right, they can't give you all their time because they actually have husbands. This woman is over 35, she's hit the wall, she gives dating advice, and she's single. She literally doesn't consume what she sells. It's not that men aren't deep, it's that no one is going to open up or have deep conversations without trust. Women are more emotional than men. Besides, what is it that a woman really looks for in a man? A cuddly teddy bear, or a man with leadership, someone who protects and provides, someone with a leader's mindset? Because if what you want is emotional bonding, go be with a woman. Men like that are usually with other men. Or stay at the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
And when you really, really think about it, I don't think it's so much a male loneliness epidemic as much as women are just bored. Like, what is the reason of even getting with a man if you already know the pattern? Most men are boring and predictable. And at this point, y'all have shown your whole ass to the whole world. Here are the stages of how men act in relationships. Stage 1, love bombing. Stage 2, stealing your personality. Stage 3, realizing they'll never be as cool and funny and awesome as you and developing jealousy and resentment towards you. And 4 is tormenting you until you break up with them because they're jealous and resentful of you because you're a bad bitch. And step 5 is using his newly acquired personality to bag and trap other bad bitches and eventually marry someone and torment them to their grave. That's why y'all are lonely. You're boring. You have no personality of your own. The way that most of you are able to bag and trap women is that initial love bombing stage. Everything else after that is not dependent on your
unique personality. Most women have caught on, and there's a male loneliness epidemic. It's a male boringness epidemic. Like the jig is up, like you're done. It's not fun, cute, or exciting anymore. It's old and it's played out, and women are sick of it. And honestly, women have noticed this everywhere. Like the male gaze, boring, predictable, symmetrical, non-complex, non-challenging. This is how men, quote unquote, build societies. Boring and predictable. It's patriarchy and war every time. Do something different. We're so fucking bored. There's no mystery. There's no surprise. Even when women are unalived by their husbands now, we're unsurprised. It's become predictable. It's become a pattern. Nobody is surprised anymore by the lies, cruelty, and violence. Just become boredom and honestly rage-inducing.
This woman goes on a hate-filled monologue disguised as analysis. She says men are boring, predictable, and resentful toward amazing women, and that this is why there's an epidemic of male loneliness. But what she's really showing is frustration. Frustration from a woman who can't connect with any man because she confuses stability with monotony. There is no epidemic of male loneliness when there are 7 million more women than men in this country. That means if there are 5 million single men, there are probably around 9 million single women. What's really happening is that a lot of men actually have more interesting lives than women do. They have friends, stable jobs, more independence. Some even own their own business before they turn 40. A man who's doing things right has more stability. Meanwhile, there are women who, at 30, still depend on their father, are drowning in debt, live a routine of home to work and back, and can't even hold a real conversation because they don't really have a life. All they do is talk about others or gossip, but they've done nothing themselves. But somehow, men are the boring ones. Let's keep going.
Women.
It's like, I just can't live in this fucking time loop over and over again anymore. That's where most women are at. Because men refuse to change, to better themselves. They just want to make things worse for other people so that they don't seem as bad in comparison. Like, oh, maybe if women can't work, can't vote, can't divorce us, can't do anything else, then maybe being with a man won't be so bad. That's the same trick you always do. That's the same thing you always do. It's nothing new. Women are so used to this. It's just boring at this point. And what's even more unattractive on top of that is that anytime you're challenged, you can't rise to it. Like, challenge is not a thing for men. That's why you're boring. So once again, I'm bringing it back to you're fucking boring because you don't like challenge. You don't like to do things for that thing's sake. Only interested in things that involve dominance or submission or a hierarchy or a scoring system or a ranking system. All of that is boring. It's boring and predictable. And that's why you like it. Men like to create artificial environments and then pretend like they're thriving in an environment that is boring, predictable, and very unfairly like benefits them. Once again, then it won't be as obvious how weak, boring, and dumb you all are as a whole, with some outliers. Those would be the men that have risen to the challenge. Those would be the men that prefer growth to boredom. They prefer change to insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over and over again, wondering why you get the same fucking result. The male loneliness epidemic is nothing new. It's been with us since the dawn of time. Even in hunter-gatherer times, for every 17 women that reproduced, only one man did. That's the male loneliness epidemic. It's always been with us. It will always be with us. Until men decide to take the fucking training wheels off of these boring, predictable, nauseating systems. But yeah, just so you know, it always comes to this. Men are boring. Stay safe out there, ladies. I love you so much. Godspeed.
First of all, this world is, and has been, built by men. Next, it's women who choose the men they let into their beds. Once they were given the right to choose, hypergamy kicked in, and that led many to sleep with hundreds of men. Unlike the days when marriages were arranged between families and they stayed with one man. Now, about what you said, that men prefer women without rights, I highly doubt that. These days, men actually prefer women who work, who earn their own money. They prefer women who have autonomy. But here's the real question. Has it worked in women's favor to make their own decisions? Honestly, not really. They choose the wrong men, vote emotionally, and many are worse off today, 40 years later, than they were before having certain rights. Because now there are fewer families, and with fewer families comes less shared wealth. The number of single mothers has skyrocketed, and the epidemic of female loneliness keeps growing. But let me guess, that's men's fault too, right?
Woman to woman, men are fucking boring. You know the time that you love spending with that man? It's because of you. It's because of your aura, your presence, your energy, your vibe. Girl, you are funny. You are beautiful. Stop thinking that it's the man. It's literally you. So if that man's a piece of shit, why the fuck are you with him? And if you miss that man, you don't miss him. You just miss spending time with yourself because you're so fucking hilarious and you're so fucking funny and you're so fucking beautiful. Please, stop hanging out with these literal boring pieces of shit.
The 5 types of men that you need to watch out for if you are dating in your 30s if you do not want your life to be ruined. So number 1, the party animal who is still partying way into his 30s. Fortunately, the man in his 30s partying every single weekend is not cute anymore. It was cute in our 20s when they were popping bottles and we were like impressed by that, but it's not impressive anymore. It's fine to go to the club for a birthday here and there, but every weekend is just way too much at this age. Number 2 is the man in finance who finally has a little bit of money. He's no longer an analyst and maybe in a more senior position, but he's still stingy with his money and spending like he has no money. He does love to spoil himself with watches because he wants to flex, but he's super stingy with you. Next is the man who is still a mama's boy. I dated this guy in his mid-30s and every little decision that he made, he had to call his mom. It was really, really weird. It's fine to be close to your mom, but you need to be a man and make your own decisions once in a while. Next is the man who is hot and cold. He's obsessed with you one week, but the next week he goes to you and can barely answer a text message. Consistency is key because you want to see a future with this person. Mixed signals just means he's not ready for a full-time commitment. Lastly is the ex-basher. For some reason, every single ex he has was toxic, was rude. It's always their fault, but he doesn't take any accountability. In his 30s, the guy should also realize that in his 20s, he's probably made some mistakes along the way and shouldn't always blame his ex. All of his exes, according to him, were crazy. He might be the problem. If you're currently dating in your 30s, let me know which type of guys you are trying to avoid. Don't waste your 30s with the wrong man, but I want to know your unhinged dating stories. Let me know below.
Something interesting about all this is how clearly you can see the poor decisions women make and what drives them. They spend a lot of time listing the types of men they shouldn't date, yet somehow claim all of us are boring. Party guy? Boring. Finance guy? Boring. A man who helps his mom? Also boring. Basically, every personality a man can have is labeled a red flag. That's why they chase the chads, guys who bring nothing to the table but emotional chaos. The ones who take them on a roller coaster, happy one day, furious the next. These men don't offer love, stability, or leadership. They just keep the drama going, and for some reason, that's what gets chosen. Meanwhile, the boring men build their lives, form families, and end up with women who value peace and commitment. Later, when those same women see the boring guys happy, they remember they once wanted stability, but by then, it's too late. The wall comes for everyone, and the price of bad decisions always has to be paid. Loneliness isn't a punishment. It's just the consequence of mistaking drama for love. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Do you think there's really an epidemic of male loneliness, or are men simply choosing to walk their own path? What's your take on these women who complain that men are boring? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and keeps us motivated to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.